What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Heart and Soul. Today, I'm joined by Morgan Kline. And bear with me because she has an awesome bio. So I'm going to introduce her real quick. But Morgan is a co founder and CEO behind Burn Boot Camp, which is a fitness establishment that's making moves in the health industry. And after working for a few years in the corporate world at the Kellogg Company, she realized that her true heart was not in that industry and she had a passion for fitness and resided in helping others through their health and fitness goals. So in 2013, she teamed up with her husband to embark on a journey that would see them create one of the nation's premier fitness programs. I can probably confirm that most of y'all have heard about Burn Boot Camp. It has not only provided Morgan with a powerful platform to share her enthusiasm for healthy living, which we're all about here, but has also bestowed upon her the self-assurance to accomplish what she once considered unattainable. She's also a mom, so a mom and a business owner, something we can definitely relate to, but I'm really excited to talk to you today about your journey into the world of Burn Boot Camp and motherhood and life.
Yes, yes. Well, thank you so much again for having me. I'm excited. I always love talking about Burn Boot Camp and talking to women and talking them through my journey. And hopefully, by the end of it, they can grab a couple nuggets out that they can apply to their own life in a
Absolutely.
positive way. So,
Yeah, absolutely. We have a lot in common, although I don't own that large of a franchise. I do own a fitness studio. It's actually very tiny. It's in my house. But it's something that I stepped into around 2016 and then just have watched it grown and become like a full-time job. And so it's something that I'm really passionate about, but I know that everyone who gets into the fitness industry typically has a story behind
yeah.
why they're passionate about fitness. And so I'd love for you to kind of just start by telling our listeners a little bit more about you, if there's anything that I missed, which I'm sure there is, and then how you became passionate about fitness.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned it a little bit in the bio. I was working in the corporate world. So I grew up an athlete. So I definitely have fitness in my background. Being an athlete, you're constantly active, you're in the weight room. You're obviously worried about how you're taking care of your body. So in high school, I was a three-sport athlete. And then I went to college and I was pretty burnt out, to be honest, from the year-round sports and just the constant commitment of things. So I went to college and went to pursue my food marketing degree. Didn't play any, sports, didn't really do anything super, super active. So the passion for fitness has not always been there. I think that's just important to note here, that there's nothing like that was so burning throughout my entire life that led me to where I'm at today. Cause I was on actually a completely different path. And then that was, in my mind, the American dream of you go to college, you graduate, you get a job at a corporate company, and you move through this promotional life and this corporate ladder. And I was on a track to do that. I had graduated from Western Michigan and got a job right away out of college in Naples, Florida.
That's a
And
shift,
yes, it was a
weather-wise.
big shift. It was a huge shift. I was not ready to leave the nest from high school, but I was ready to leave Michigan once college was done. And so I had a couple locations that I could move to, but I pretty much knew that I had to move, get out in the field is what they call it, versus the headquarter office which was actually right in my hometown of Battle Creek, Michigan. So I went to Naples, and again, I'm on this one track of my career. Well, obviously, a big part of this is my husband Devin, who we met in sixth grade. So he
Aw.
also was an athlete, and he actually went to college to pursue being a collegiate athlete, and then he went into the professional level. So him and I met in sixth grade. We dated in high school. We dated in college. And we were kind of both on these separate tracks. And I supported him. He supported me. He lived with me for a little bit down in Naples on his off season. And his third season, he played for the San Francisco Giants baseball organization. He was a pitcher, and he got released in his third season. So now he was really faced with this, oh my goodness, like everything I wanted to do now just went up in smoke.
Right.
And he gave that dream of playing professional baseball up. And that's when he really had to dig deep and say, what am I passionate about? And of course, with athletics being in his background and fitness, like naturally, he was like, okay, I'll go be a certified personal trainer. So here we are in Naples, Florida. I'm working a job 9 to 5, and he's working at a big box gym. And again, at this time, none of us had what we're doing today, like even really on our vision board or in our mind. We were 23, 24 year olds just trying to, make it and make as much money as we could. So, a long story short, I get promoted up to Charlotte, and that's when Devin's like, "Hey, I don't want to work for anybody. Like, I've kind of learned what I don't love about big box gyms and traditional personal training and what that model looks like. I want to do it differently." So we moved up here to Charlotte, which is where we live now, and that's where we're headquarters. And we had no resources. Okay, we were at this time it was 2012. Um, we were, gosh, 24, 25, still like no big steady career for me. It was like a $60,000 job that I came here to work for. And we had no resources. So we literally started burn boot camp out of a parking lot. And that was because no landlord wanted to speak to us. We had no business proof, no concept, no financial backing. And so we start this boot camp. And so we really are leaning into the community and bringing people together. And so we sublet right outside of a gymnastics studio in 2012. And we utilize it in the morning when, gymnastics didn't have any classes. And then in the afternoon, it would be in the parking lot. And this was primarily focused for women because Devin and I, there's a lot more to kind of the seeds that were planted about how we want to impact through fitness. And we knew that we really wanted to impact families. It starts with the woman, right? They're the ones that are grocery shopping. They're the leaders of their kids for the most part. No disrespect to men or to dads, but primarily if you want to turn a family healthy, start with educating, the mom and the female, and they're going to make that impact for their kids. So we knew that when we looked at the competition in the market, we knew that there was something missing for women that gave them, number one, that sense of community, but also number two, a really, really good workout. And again, both of us coming from athletic backgrounds and being on a team, like you do lose that when you graduate and you get into being an adult. It's hard to build those relationships. It's hard to feel like you're a part of something. It's hard to go somewhere where everybody's like-minded, like-hearted, and they want to see you do well. And so a lot of the culture of burn boot camp does come from that background of both of us just being in team sports and having positive people and influence in our life. So we've coupled
community is everything.
community. Community is everything.
The best part about being in a group fitness environment is the community.
Absolutely. So what we've did is we've doubled down on that community and then obviously our fitness product. And in 2012, we opened that sublease location. We then did that 4 more times for a total of 5. And then finally we had enough revenue coming in where we were able to get some leases. We flipped all of those to our own brick and mortar. And that was kind of our first big dream, was like, let's just dominate this Charlotte market. Let's just be, this gym chain that does really well in Charlotte. And then in about end of 2013, 2014, we had people approaching us and saying, this has changed my life. I feel like I'm part of something again. I've gotten my confidence back. I enjoy working out for the first time in my life. Like just those transformations and testimonials that you hear. And they wanted to be able to do that somewhere else, whether that was back in their hometown. And so that's when we kind of were like, wow, we have an opportunity here to join forces with people and really allow this mission to be bigger than ourselves. And that's when franchising came in. So in 2015, we became a national franchise. And here we stand today. We've got over 350 gyms. We're in 41 states. We've got over 550 territories awarded. And, I've gone from being, that corporate young 20 something to then getting my CPT, then owning my own gym, owning 5 gyms, then becoming a franchise owner, franchisor. And now here I am in a CEO seat and the co-founder of something that's just much larger than myself and has had the opportunity to impact thousands of lives and change how people see fitness. And I believe change how people even see themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's amazing. And that's a really quick transgression of events, like to go from 2012 to 2015 being franchised is very quick. I think if you're listening to this and you're a business owner, then one, how hard it is to get your business up and running, to build it up enough revenue, to get profit. So to go from that to that in 3 years is amazing.
Yeah.
And it's just a testament to the fact that y'all really did focus on the people. Cause I think that's really, well, I know that that's really what helps any organization grow, is just the
Mhm.
impact you have on the people, especially in an industry like fitness.
Mhm.
And our stories are, I mean, I don't have a franchise, so like not similar at all in that aspect, but we did start in like parks. And there's always a way for, if this is something that you're passionate about, even if maybe you don't want to do this full time, but you love leading classes and you love building community, like there's free all around you. You know, you can always meet in a parking lot or a park or in your backyard. There's Don't let anything stop you, even if it's not having a space.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so I can definitely relate to you on that. We were in the park for like a whole year, just trying
Yeah.
to find space.
Yeah.
But I wanted to transition a little bit more into the fitness aspect of it, because you said something that stood out to me, and something that I'm really passionate about is starting to enjoy movement again.
Mhm.
Was there a time when you were involved with sports, or when your husband was a professional athlete, where maybe movement felt more like a chore or punishment for
Yeah.
y'all? And then how did that mindset shift happen in y'all?
Well, I think for me, if I look back at my journey, I actually started to have a poor relationship with fitness when I became a certified personal trainer. So when we had already started this, I stepped out of that identity of like this corporate life into this certified personal trainer. And I started to have these feelings of unworthiness, and my body wasn't looking good enough. And so I started going really, really hard into trying to train for a competition. And I thought I needed all these credentials, and I thought I needed my body to look a certain way to be able to say I was a gym owner. And
Mm-hmm.
mind you, like I'm a very healthy woman. I always have been. But it wasn't enough for me in my
Yeah.
mind. And so I started going down a pathway for several weeks, kind of before I started my own gym, of just, I had quit my job and I was getting ready to open my own gym. And I started doing things that weren't even burn. So I wasn't even like following my own program, right? And I
Yeah.
I thought I had to do all these things. I was following all these people on social media. I was eating a certain way. I was under eating, over exercising. I developed a, body dysmorphia for sure, of just nothing was ever good enough. And so that to me sticks out more than anything else, because it was like an aha moment. I had a day where I had just done like an 8 mile run, and I had done a workout, and I'm doing a selfie with my Instagram. Makes me cringe, like thinking about it. But
I used to do the same stuff.
I remember like zooming in and like looking at my stomach and like looking at my bicep muscle and like not even feeling good, but I looked great. Of course I looked great. I was doing all these terrible things to my body, unfortunately, that will work temporarily. But I just inside though was empty.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, what's the point? Like, why am I doing something to look a certain way? And then my feeling after that is like, I'm not confident in myself. I don't feel fulfilled. I don't feel authentic to who I want to be. I can't lead like this. And so I kind of had like a moment of truth for myself of like, I just quit my job. If I'm going to do this and I'm going to go all in, I need to do it my way. I need to do it the way that feels good to me.
Yeah.
And that is when I had a shift about how I wanted Burn Boot Camp to show up in the fitness industry from an authentic perspective, and not a gimmicky and not a quick fix and not just a workout. We need to be more than that, especially when we're serving women, and we're serving women that are walking through journeys of postpartum and just no confidence for maybe a poor relationship they've been in, or maybe they've just never had anybody believe in them, or they've never worked out because they've never loved fitness, because it's intimidating. It's
Yeah.
intimidating to step into a gym. So
Totally.
I knew that I wanted Burn to represent all of those different people, and I wanted to make sure we can meet them where they're at and bring all those women to the same room and work out for 45 minutes and feel empowered when they
Yeah.
left.
I love that. And I think that I always ask that question. Well, first of all, my listeners know this, but like I go in pretty blind to these interviews with people that I don't know. And I do that because I want to actually get to know them in the moment for it to feel
Mhm.
authentic, like you were talking about.
Yeah.
And I always ask that question with women who work in the fitness industry because I would say 9 times out of 10, our stories are always very similar of I didn't see my self-worth. I didn't love the skin that I was in. I was abusing food. I was abusing exercise. I just didn't feel like I was enough. And it takes a little bit of an identity shift from there to get to a point where you're like, I enjoy movement. I don't care if I have a six pack. I don't care if I have
Yeah.
cellulite or whatever. I just love this and I want other people to love it as well in a way that makes them feel confident and empowered. Like to get back from an 8 mile run, like you were talking about, and then to pick apart a selfie is just mind blowing because there's some people listening who are like, you ran 8 miles?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's amazing. Like, your
Right.
body just did that. And yet we were both in a, um, believing lies that we still weren't good enough. And
Hmm.
so, I think it's really crucial and important for people like you to be leaders in the fitness industry to rewrite that narrative around what fitness should be about because there is so much pressure on social media and the whole marketing behind diet culture, like it just tries to convince you that you're always not enough so that you keep striving for quote unquote more.
Yeah.
And to really shift that narrative and to have the influence that you have numbers wise is amazing. And y'all should be very proud of that.
Thank you. No, we absolutely are. And I think one other thing I want to make sure I say too is I started to have a lot of that same self-doubt when I first had my first child,
Yeah.
Cameron. And so of course, like that postpartum body too was like I struggled a little bit. I kind of went back to these old like beliefs. And again, I'm thankful for all of these journeys because it's also taught me how to be a better leader and take this influence that I have and use it for good, use kind of
Yeah.
the things that I have gone through because if I've gone through it, probably like you said, a lot of other women can relate. And so I just say that to say, like, I learned to appreciate my body in even a deeper way when I got to go through childbirth and postpartum, and then just like what my body was able to do for me and that appreciation for it. And so now I'm always constantly trying to look at what is my body doing for me
For me.
instead of
Yeah.
hating, the things that I might not love about it, but what is it doing for me? And just
Right.
being really grateful, like really grateful for that.
Yeah, like even the fact that like our heart just pumps blood throughout our body and we get oxygen every morning, like that's nuts. It's just like doing all that for us, like literally giving us life.
Yeah.
I have the same I have a 2-year old.
Okay.
So um close out from the postpartum life. And yeah, that's a huge shift. And I think that's something that's I was actually meeting with a friend last weekend and talking about this, but something that's really important for those who are listening and do struggle with like disordered eating or with maybe abusing exercise or anything that has to do with like the physical is it always starts mental. And
Yeah.
I think that it's really important to also remember that just because you feel like you've gotten over a hump and you've healed, like triggers and lies can still enter in different seasons of your life, like having a baby or just aging, like getting older. That's been difficult for me. And so to like have the armor and the like I guess the wherewithal within your mind to be able to like fight those thoughts sooner
Mhm.
is why communities like this exist to be able to like create in you a sort of like strength and resilience and like I said armor like literally hold it in front of you when those lies come out at you to be like no like I know that this is actually true. This is what my body does for me. I'm so strong. I can work out for 45 minutes. I hold my baby on my hip for 3 hours a day, like all these things. My heart keeps me alive. I can
Yeah.
walk to the mailbox without getting out of breath. Like all these
Yeah.
things um it's good to have that in your back pocket to like pull out when another lie enters in when you
Hmm.
enter a new season of life or when your body changes because it will like that's guaranteed. Your
Yes.
body will continue to evolve as
Yes.
you
Yes.
age.
Whether you're having kids or not, it's just with
Totally.
age, absolutely. And so that's why I think it's so important to lean into like those non-scale victories, right?
Yeah.
And as a fitness company, we of course show our transformations like through pictures, but over time, the stories that stick with me have nothing to do with anyone's physical appearance. It's how they got off certain medication, or how, moving their body helped with their depression, or how it changed the relationship they had with their husband, or it changed the course of how they mother. Those
Yeah,
are real stories that I get the opportunity to hear when I'm out in my gyms and out in the field. And those are the things that are worth celebrating and worth sharing, because movement doesn't just need to, like, movement and exercise and nutrition isn't just about how it makes you look. It's about how it makes you feel.
yeah,
So
for
that's
sure.
a
I would say
message that,
more than how it
oh,
makes you look.
absolutely.
It's how
Absolutely.
it makes
Because
you
you
feel.
can, I know people that look amazing, and this was the rabbit hole I used to go down when I thought I needed to look that way. I followed those people on social media, and like within a couple years later, like you start to see the truth come out of how unhappy they were during that time, and
Yeah,
miserable they really were. And so our outwardly appearance doesn't tell us what's really happening inside.
totally. And that's a really important reminder for those listening too, that like social media isn't real life.
Yeah.
There's some people who really do show up real and authentic, and thank you for those people to those people. But um, I'm the same way. Like when I was at my thinnest and had, the most like muscle definition, I was
Hmm.
the most unhappy I'd ever been. Like my mind was just completely trapped in this like hamster wheel of I'm not enough. I got to keep trying, like just pressure on myself. And so, like, it's important to realize that even if someone has a little, like, I don't know, like leniency or balance in that life, that probably means they're happier,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
and to remember that sometimes the people you see on social media who have these quote unquote perfect bodies and perfect lives, like, you just never know what's going on behind closed doors or in someone's mind. And so
Hmm.
it really does start with like, I always say, when I talk about like my gym with the group fitness classes, like being in community takes you out of those isolating thoughts that we can create in our mind, and just like reminds you of like that you belong, that you're not alone. And so I think it's really important to intertwine both fitness and community together. And I love that y'all are doing that too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so you're a mom. How many kids do you have?
So I have three kids. I have a daughter who's 7. My middle is just turned 6. So 7, 6, and then 3 years old. So a daughter and then two boys.
Okay. Um,
So my world is crazy for
I was gonna
sure.
say you have your hands full.
Yes.
How did becoming a mom shift just one, your responsibilities, but two, maybe your the way that you entered into being a business owner?
Yeah. So the more, obviously, once I had my second child, I stepped away completely from actually training every
Yeah,
single day in any of my gyms, and really just focused on the business side of it. I still get on the floor every once in a while. My husband and I will visit locations and kind of scratch that itch that we have of like being trainers. So that's like from a practical sense. Like obviously when you have more responsibility and more on your plate, you have to decide like where's my time best spent. And
right.
my time was best spent making sure that we were building this business properly, and that we're building infrastructure, and that we're leading kind of how we scale the company versus just focusing in on my one gym that I had. So that was obviously a shift as I've had kids. But you know my kids have given me a greater sense of purpose, obviously a greater sense of perspective and
Yeah,
appreciation. They've taught me how to manage my time better. They've taught me how to have a lot of patience, not just with, myself, but with even like my employees. Like being a mom allows me to build an environment for other moms to be able to thrive in. And I'm grateful for those like perspectives again that my kids and just being a mom has given me, because then I feel like I have the chance to create a better workplace, and then a better brand, obviously, too, when it comes to body image and health and wellness and fitness. Like that's important lessons that I want to be teaching my children, but like the next generation. And so they've given me that kind of vision for, hey, this is bigger than just like me and this generation. Like this brand has the opportunity to create legacy that can change, even more lives than I can think possible right now.
Totally. I think that word perspective is key, and that's something that I definitely had to learn. I think that you just don't know what you don't know going into motherhood, and like that shift from like having responsibility for only yourself to a whole nother life is wild, but it
Mhm.
does give you perspective of what's important right now. How do
Yeah.
I manage my time? What do I need? Where do I need to draw lines in the sand? Like what boundaries do I need to put up? So it's definitely worth it. If you're like a business owner and you're like, do I want to have kids? It's
Yeah.
definitely worth it. It'll expand you in ways that you never knew were possible. But it does give you a really sweet perspective on life.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah. Okay, well, we're about to wrap up, but I have 4 questions that I ask every single guest. So I'm going to ask you that before we wrap today and then give you a chance to share with my listeners how to get in contact with you or how to follow you, where to find you next.
Okay, awesome.
All
I'm
right.
ready.
So my first question is, what is something that you're currently obsessed with right now?
Ooh. I feel very ashamed to say this, but I've been loving Emily in Paris.
Oh, I love Emily in Paris. Don't feel shame, girl. I guarantee we have like 100% of our listeners are women. I guarantee they all watch it.
So I'm not a huge like TV watcher or like binge watcher, but of course we're just coming off the holidays where I had a little bit more downtime. And anyways, so I had flights and stuff. So I downloaded that and now I'm like every night I just want to watch like one episode. So
It's
anyway,
so cheesy, but like the
yeah.
episodes are so short that like it's so easy to binge,
Yeah.
and the
I'm a
fashion's
big
so good.
I am a big fan of like finding a little bit of an outlet every day that like you don't have to use your brain power. So
Totally.
that for me is like, a little bit of reality TV, a little bit of Emily in Paris.
I'm a big reality TV girl, and those who listen know I literally have like an episode once a month where I just have to talk about what I'm watching on reality TV. Um, okay, next question is, what's something that you're really looking forward to in 2024?
We have a book coming out in June. So my husband and I co-authored a book and we have a publisher and so it's on pre-order right now. So I'm just excited. Obviously, it's a branded book, so you're going to see Burn Boot Camp on it and it talks a lot about the philosophies that we've built Burn Boot Camp and how you can apply that to your life. So excited for that to get into new hands out there to help impact their lives.
That's awesome. That's really exciting. And we'll have to put the link for pre-order if you have one in
Yeah.
the show
Yeah.
notes.
Absolutely.
Okay, next question is, what is something that you really love about yourself right now?
Ooh, my confidence. I
Love
think
that answer.
that I've worked really hard over the last couple years to just start to like find my self-confidence, my self-worth. Being in my position at CEO, there was a lot of doubt in my mind in the past, a lot of like just moments where I didn't think I could do it. And I
Yeah,
feel very confident just as a mother, as a wife, and as a CEO right now.
I love that answer. Okay, last question. If you could leave my listeners with like one little post-it note of encouragement that they can put on their mirror or put on their computer today, something short and sweet, what would that be?
Um, So something that's on a post-it note that's right around my office always is the temptation to quit will always be the greatest right before you succeed. So that's
Ooh,
just a quote that I really, really, really love. So the temptation to quit will always be the greatest right before you succeed. So I think it's a good reminder. We all have moments where you're like, all right, I'm going to quit something, or this is hard. I'm not going to do it, or I'm not worthy to do this. I'm not made for this. And that is like the enemy speaking to you. That is, that is life testing you to say, does she really have what it takes? And I just, right past that moment is success and it's freedom and it's confidence and it's fulfillment.
yeah.
So it's a great quote for me to just keep myself remembering that I've had that doubt so many times, I've stuck with it, and then success was right on the other side.
And that perseverance and that endurance is what strengthens us
Yeah,
in the long
absolutely.
run.
It's what builds our confidence
Yes,
and keeps us going. So
totally. Well, give my listeners a little bit where they can follow you, how they can find you, how they can
yeah.
reach out in the
So
future.
my personal Instagram is morgan.a.kline. And so you can come follow me along there. I also have a podcast Burnbootcamp.com is our website where you can go to find a location near you. And then I'll of course send you the pre-order for our book. So you can include that in the show notes. But yeah, morgan.a.kline on Instagram or at Burn Boot Camp, and you can find me.
Awesome. And listeners, I will put all that in the show notes. So there'll be a link below that you can click to easily follow her and to purchase her book and see if there's a burn boot camp where you live.
Yes.
Thank you so much
Oh.
for hopping on the podcast today. It was so nice meeting you.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. Thanks for having me.
Yep. All right, listeners, I will talk to you next week. Bye.